Hey everyone, this is Kieran from Filmstorm Studios, and today I'm going to do a really sweet walkthrough on how to actually create a high poly object inside Maya, Zbrush, and two other programs that we'll need are Xnormal, so you can go to this website and download this. This bakes our high poly object to a low poly object, so that's going to be pretty sweet. And I also use Knald. But this isn't required, but if you do have it, it will give us some pretty sweet results. So once you have these, so we need Zbrush, Xnormal, Knald, and then we need Maya. So once you have those things, we can proceed. And what we're going to do first is actually create a polygon, and then we'll go from there. So this is what we're going to sculpt on in Zbrush. So maybe let's grab this, maybe let's give it some height. And I like to grab the move tool and let's put on soft selection. And then that way we can give it some really sweet, easy curve. And I'm gonna kind of go for like a broken pillar. So, and then let's just grab all of this and do something like that. All right, so now we'll just close this guy. So this is going to be our low poly object that we're going to send over to Zbrush. But there's one thing that we'll have to do first. And so if you press 3 on your keyboard, you'll notice that when you smooth it, this is what it's going to do. It's going to create this really smoothed look, which you don't want, because when you start stepping it up in Zbrush, giving it more polygons, it's going to look a little bit weird. So to preserve our nice edges, so we can create more of a rock pillary look, we'll press spacebar, and that's how you bring up this. You can press it quickly, and then that you'll get different views, or if you press it and hold it, you'll get this little fan out view. So if you left click in here, and then let's select the edge loop. What we're going to do is actually create little edge loops on each edge. So we can do that. I've got my my Wacom bamboo tablet, and that's what I use for a lot of my sketching and editing and stuff. So let's just pop these corners down, and then on this side, one there and one there. Perfect. And one at the top, and that is it. So press 1, press Q. Maybe let's just quickly turn off soft selection so we don't see that. And right mouse click and object mode. So if I press 3 now, you'll notice it won't go weird, and we still have all of those really nice edges. So what we can do from here is just press 1, make sure you're on that no smoothness level, and let's just press Go Z, Zbrush, and say create. And if you don't have this, if you actually go in and just load some random model into Zbrush, you can actually click Go Z, and then that way you can actually install the plugins that you need. Alrighty, so let's just click and drag out, and you'll see this is our thing. And if you hold Shift, it'll actually snap it straight up for you. And then press T. This will take us into our edit mode. But you'll see it's quite big on the floor, and we'll also want to turn on perspective. I kind of prefer seeing that to anything else. So to make it all uniform, so ZBrush's brushes work properly, we need to go down to deformation and put on unify. So then this way, when we edit it, our brushes, when we have it full, it will be all perfect. We just need to make sure ZBrush likes what we're doing. So now let's quickly step this up. So just Control D, and you'll notice the polygons increase. But you can always see what you're working at in your geometry. You can see how many subdivisions you have, so you can actually step back down and step up. So quickly I might start on 4, and I might use a clay buildup brush, and with no alpha. And let's just maybe put some of these. I just want to get like a rough base kind of look in for the rock pillar. Doesn't have to be grey. I mean, this is just going to be a quick demonstration. And basically the whole reason of this is you want to design something with a lot of detail, but then when you take it into a game engine or you want to have it as a background asset in a film, you don't want it to be that heavy. You want it to have minimal polygons but retain all of the detail. And we do this through what's called a normal map. And the normal map will actually, it projects the detail onto a low poly object, kind of creating an illusion that it has detail, but it doesn't. So that's essentially what we're doing here. All right, so that should be cool. And then we'll just step it up again. We've already got it stepped up. And then we can go in, and I like to just work my way around and create some edges, because a rock has a lot of edges in it. It's a very, very hard thing. So let's just quickly work our way up and work our way up here. And then you go in and put a little bit of detail with like cracks and stuff. So let's do that now. So let's just, all right, let's put some there. I mean, for this demonstration, I'm going to do it pretty quickly. So you could spend as long as you like creating a really nice model, but it's more about the technique that we'll be applying afterwards to get a really nice result. But if you look at a lot of rocks, they tend to have a lot of big structures at the bottom, because that's where all the mass is held, and then it has a lot of little fine details kind of working its way around to the top. So I mean, yeah, get what I mean. Just painting some rocks. What else would you do? All right, and let's just, and if you hold if you're rotating, hold shift, that way you can snap it back to a nice view. So let's just get some of this in. I might actually step it up one more. I've got it already stepped up. Let's put that in. All right, and put some of that. I mean, normally a normal sculpt for me would take, I don't know, maybe half a day, just depending on what it is. And there's this beautiful brush called Trim Dynamic, and what this does, it actually creates really realistic rock fall off. So if I come in here, I don't know, I'll put it on that. Z subtraction, there we go. And then it kind of creates this really nice chipped off effect. But there's one thing in Zbrush, you'll notice the topology that it's creating. See all these lines? We're gonna fix that up later. So let's just run this over. So now you can see that this is going to be a bit tricky for the program. So it's going to be a good test for the high poly to low poly, because we've got all of these cracks, and once you have a low poly, the polygons will be all aligned. So now let's get started on creating the low poly. So what we need to do is duplicate it. We're going to rename that original model that we've made to original, just in case anything happens. You've always got that backup. And then we're going to call this guy the low poly unwrapped, because that's what it's going to turn into, because we're going to have to unwrap it to apply textures to it. And you don't have to worry, because the way I figured out to unwrap it is really simple and it's not going to destroy your ZBrush or shut it down. So let's go to geometry. We're going to go to Z remesher, have it on around 5 to start off with. And you'll notice once I press the button, it's going to re-topologize everything and make it look schmick, and also reduce the number of polygons that we have active. So let's go and do that. I've got a bit of a beastie system, so it doesn't take my computer very long to process this. And once it punches that out, we'll get a really nicely reduced model. It's going to 3, 2, 1, boom. So now you can see we have this really nice topology. Everything kind of looks like it should, nice and organized, just the way I like it. So now what you want to do, since we're taking this to a game engine, I mean 8,000 polygons is still heaps for it. That's more of a character than an object. So let's bring it down to like 0.3. It doesn't have to be precise, and then you can see we've got this nice thing. Although you can see that the other high-res model is still open, so you can just click that little eye and it will turn it off. All right, so let's bring this up. We can bring it down even more, like 0.13. We got 927, so that's a really good polygon count for a game model. Nice and low and nice and simple. I mean, if you're running a mobile app, you'd probably want it around 500. Like 300 to 500 polygons, but yeah, this will be perfect for like Unity or Unreal engines. All right, so what we need to do now is actually unwrap this model. So if you can't see this, what I did is just you open this guy up, grab this, and chuck that in there, and that's how that stays there. So then if you want to access it, everything's all there. All right, so we're going to use this UV master. Symmetry is usually turned on, so just turn that guy off. And we're going to enable control painting. And you'll notice when I click protect, it's going to turn white. And what we need to do first is just quickly paint over the areas, like the big faces, that we want to protect, because you don't want little UV seams going down the middle and making your textures look really weird. We'd probably want to make this one kind of go more down the side. So the trick to this is we're in protect. So let's just paint. It doesn't have to be precise, just make it rough. All right, that's cool. And then on the other side, where players might like walk under, so that way we can rotate the model. All right, so that's perfect enough. And then we're going to click attract. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And we want to attract the UV lines around here. So let's just do that. Perfect. All right, so that looks good. So just turn off enable control painting and click unwrap, and boom, it is unwrapped. And then we have a really nice UV map. If you click check seams, you'll see the seams are there, and that's pretty good. I mean, you could keep refining the control painting, like erasing it, and because you can keep unwrapping it and it's not going to affect it until you get a really nice seam that you like. So we could try that. I mean, we might not want this seam kind of coming down here. So let's just jump into this control painting and say attract. Oh, protect, yeah. Now let's just protect this bump here. So that way it's going to say, oh, okay, the seam is there. Let's seam it across the bottom. Let's say, okay, attract the bottom. And then turn this guy off, and let's unwrap it again. And don't know how much that helped. It's just gonna do what it's gonna do, but usually it's because this is a bit of a weird shape. But this is gonna work fine. There's no need to worry. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to somehow get this really nice sculpt that you might have been working on for hours reprojected onto this low poly mesh. So what we need to do is step this guy back up. So let's work him up. And you want to have it a little bit higher than what the original is. And there's a reason for that. So we've got 499. This is 947. So that's perfect. So what you need to do is have this clicked on. You need to have this eye active like this. And then you need to come and click on this eye. So that's open in the background. You don't want to have it this selected, this dark gray box. You want to have this selected and then have this eye on so you can see that high res detail popping through. And then what we're going to do is come down to project, and we're going to put the distance to 0.2, and we're going to click project all. And basically what this is going to do, it's going to go and get every little vertice, and then it's going to sample it positive and negatively, and then it's going to snap to what it found. So now you'll see if I turn that off, voila, we have this beautiful high-res model, but it's actually got all of our really nice topology that we made from our Z remesher. So if you give this to a texture artist, they'll be kissing you because they love it. And if you look at the original, we've got this really wonky, unprofessional topology. And then they'll see this and be like, oh, well, he knows what he's doing. So let's turn this guy off. So we have everything we need to export. And then, like I said before, you need those programs. You need Xnormal, and you need Knald. So make sure you've got these downloaded and installed, and then we can progress. So we need to actually get these guys out of Zbrush. And to do that, we are going to need to do one thing first and go to deformation. And then we need to pump up the size. Otherwise, it's going to be tiny when you import it to any other program, because Zbrush's size space is really weird. So let's just get the size. What I do is I always drag it up twice to 100 and then reframe it. And then this is always perfect for Maya or any painting programs or Xnormal that we're going to import it to. So let's go back up to geometry, and here we have the level 6. So what we're going to do is click export. Let's just make a new folder in here, and we'll call this tutorial asset. And this is actually the high poly. So we'll export that. It's going to merge all the UV coordinates onto that map. Perfect. And let's bring it down to 1. This is the game object. And let's export this guy, and we're going to call this the low poly. Wonderful. So that is actually all of it for ZBrush for now. So let's just minimize this guy, and let's bring in Xnormal. So the next stage of baking everything begins. So the way this program works is fairly simple. You just want to start off in your high definition, right mouse click, add mesh. And we're going to bring in our high poly. The only thing you need to do is go across and then put smooth normals to average. And then low definition, right mouse click, add mesh, low poly, same thing, smooth that to average. Baking options. So we want to bake our normal map. That is perfect. That's the settings if you want to compare yours to mine. And then we've got our tutorial asset. I'm going to call this normal map, Xnormal, sorry, Xnormal. And then click generate, and it's going to bake our high resolution mesh to our low poly, and it's going to extract all of those little details that we can bake onto our low poly mesh. So this will just take a second. And then you can even see in here, we've got all this really nice detail that when we put it onto the low poly, it will actually look like the high poly mesh, which is going to be great. So let that render. It's almost done. I'm just going to throw it out. And this program is super stable. It hasn't crashed for me, and I've had like a 7 million poly object in here, pushing it down, and all good. Nothing great. This guy and his team, they've done a great job. All right, so let's wait for this guy to finish saving. And while that's saving, I'm going to open Knald. And this is the next stage of our render. This Knald is completely optional because that's pretty much the only paid thing, apart from like Maya and ZBrush, they're paid software. But Knald helps us enhance that normal map to give it a bit more definition. And I'll show you that. I think Xnormal's done. So Xnormal's done. And let me just open up that folder. And where are we? We've got tutorial asset. So here we are. We've got this guy. This is our normal map. So this is all of that nice detail that is baked. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into load normal map, desktop, our rock wall tutorial, and then you'll see that it's going to put it onto a cylinder, which isn't going to look a bit weird. But that way we can actually load in our mesh, our low poly. So just give it a second. Let's click on mesh, and we're going to load in our low poly. And then this is what I mean with this thing you'll see in a second. So here is our the normal map that's been applied. So let's just put the light there. All right, thank you, Facebook. Just go away. So we've got our normal. What we're going to do is actually put the bump scale up, maybe like to 200. So that way it gives it a lot more definition. Well, maybe not that much, maybe like 150. I mean, it's not much, but you'll notice the difference between 100 and about 150. You get a lot more detail. And the best thing about Knald is it automatically bakes all the AO for you. So if you go and activate this, we can actually bring that in. So it's giving that really nice map to us. So once you're happy with that, let's just throw this out to our folder, rock wall asset, tutorial asset, and let's just create a new folder and call this guy Knald. So that way all our textures are together, and click export. Okay, Facebook. And that will take a second to export. And then our next stage is the texturing of it. So you've already got your high quality map. As you can see, we're getting all of that high quality detail onto our low poly and that we can import into our game. So this next part, we're going to be using Quixel, which is a plugin for Photoshop. This part is, like, again, optional. It's another paid plugin, but anything that makes your life easier is worth it. So if you go to tutorial asset, let's just load in our mesh. On our normal, go to Knald and bring in the normal. AO, let's click on AO and bring in the ambient occlusion. Curvature, it also bakes that out. The height map, it bakes that out for us. So, and that's pretty much it. Let's say our target is Unity. Let's click create, and it's going to go and do its thing in the background and bake all of our maps onto our model. And then we can throw it onto a really nice texture and then export that for game use. So just give that a second to do it, and that is good. It should give us the all clear in a second. Any second now, it's going to be like boom. All right, let's throw that open. Alrighty, so now we have this nicely detailed mesh. If I bring in the wireframe, and then you can see that we've got the wireframe, we've got all that detail, but you've just got a really low poly mesh. So that's how that works. So now that's pretty exciting. So let's bring in maybe like a rock. That's how you spell rock. The C. And then let's bring in this one. Looks cool. Give it a second. It's going to automatically texture it. And boom. Oh wow, this texture looks a bit weird. And bring it out. Don't know. Not a fan of this texture. What is this texture? Let's just go rock. Mossy rock instead. And we'll give it a second to do its thing. There we go. So now we've got all that nice high-res detail on our rock. Put on a headlight. Just put that down. So look at that, and all that detail. I mean, really, if you look at the the wireframe. That's pretty good. Turn that size down. So I mean, you're getting all of that nice, those nice creases, and there's really just like 3 polygons going over it. So look at that. That's wonderful. Okay, so say that you're happy and you've done all your painting and everything. Let's export this guy to Unity. So let's go open the exporter. So this is how you export your maps. Export all of our materials. I don't think I actually set a destination for it. We'll just wait for that to throw itself out. Boom, 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 boom. Anytime now. Set pass. Alright, I'm just gonna put it tutorial asset. I'm just gonna make a new one called final textures. Okay, and export all the materials. Alright, while that's loading, let me load up Unity. And I think I've got a project, a horror project, and we can import our models from here. So you can see these are some of the ones that I've done some tests on, and these are like really low poly, except for this one. This was like my first one, and I pushed it a bit more of these ones. So I can turn this back onto shaded, and look at all that. You got heaps of detail in this one and on this one. This is one of my favorite ones. And then you've got that. So that is pretty sweet. So let's import our one that we just did. So let's import new asset into this guy, tutorial, and let's import our low poly. And let's drag this guy out. All right, cool. And let's F to focus on him. And let's go into his material. So this is his material. We can even just jump straight into here. And what we need to do is just import those assets. So we need to do it one by one. We've got the AO, we've got the diffuse. And I find that that Unity, you probably want to open the diffuse back up in Photoshop and then just increase the brightness a little bit because it is a bit dull. Unity's lighting system's a lot different to Unreal or other applications. All right, so that's almost done. We need to fix this guy to, you want to create from grayscale. Let's apply that. All right, now let's drag in these guys. We've got the albedo, we've got the AO, the occlusion, we've got the normal, like that brings in all that detail, and then we need to put that onto standard specular. And then as you can see, like I was saying, the texture's a bit dark. So what we need to do now is just open this guy. Might even be easier just to go into here, into the final textures, and open this guy in Photoshop. Where's Photoshop? And close this guy. All right, so we've got this. Let's just give it a quick curves adjustment. And bring that guy up. And then let's just give that one a save. Tutorial final. And let's just resave this guy into the diffuse. So say yes. Okay. And then let's just re-import that guy. That should come in a bit brighter. Might have to manually import it. So that's the big difference of how Unity reads that. And boom, now you've got all that nice color, and you can adjust the saturation in Photoshop as well. But you can probably give that to your texture artist. And then what I like to do to finish it all off is go 0, 0, 0, 0 rotation. Create an empty game object, drop out of here. As you can see, I've got all my prefabs here. So I want to create a new prefab. I'm going to call this the rock slanting. And then I'm going to put that and call this rock slanting. and also make this position 0, 0, 0, so that the base perfectly on the floor. And I'm going to grab this object and put it under the parent, and then lift it up. So just to the way you want it. I might move it to around there. I'm happy with that. And then drag this guy into our thing. And then you can delete that guy. And then when you drag him out, you're moving him at the base, so that way it snaps perfectly to the ground. And then you can, when you rescale it, it scales to the ground as well. So that's how it's just good, good asset management. And that is pretty much it, guys. That is how to create a high poly object, convert it into a low poly object, and then take it into a game engine fully textured. It is the whole walkthrough. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I can further expand into something if you need it. But for now, it's been Kieran Oversapian for Filmstorm Studios. Thanks for watching, and I'll